What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ready Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and this evening I'm joined by my co-host Matt Llewellyn and our guy Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. We got an interesting show planned for you guys this evening. Before I kick it over to my panel here, if you're joining on Twitter, go to youtube.com/49ers Hive and join from there so you can comment your own thoughts. We can actually see and interact with them. We're not ignoring you on Twitter. We just cannot see them. So go to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there. Share your thoughts with the show. Matt, I'm going to throw it to you first. Obviously, the biggest news that has happened within the past 24 to 48 hours is this Grant Cohn, Javon Kinlaw beef. We'll play the clip, I guess, in a bit, but what was your initial take to it?
I think there's blame to be had on both sides, but I think that Kinlaw comes out looking worse. Simply because if you know somebody's like a troll doing their troll thing or whatever, you gotta be above that, especially in a position that Javon Kinlaw is in. Like at the end of the day, Javon Kinlaw doesn't have to prove shit to Grant Cohn. He's gotta be a football player. He's got to contribute to the 49ers. And I don't care. Here, I'm just going to say this. My only problem with what Kinlaw did was the physicality aspect of it, the physical intimidation aspect of it. That's bully behavior, and that was a bridge too far. If you want to talk your shit, right? Like clap back at him, say whatever. But walking up, putting your chest on the man, knocking the hat off his head, and seeking him out in that regard, that was where he made a mistake. That was where he needed somebody to pull him back and be like, dude, it's not worth the effort. You know what I mean? Like, we all know what Grant does. Like, even us sitting here, and we've all met Grant. You know what I mean? Like, what was Javon hoping to prove? Like, you're 6'5", 320. You're going to walk up on Grant Cohn, who's like 6 foot tall and like a $150 soaking wet. Like Grant Cohn is going to do anything to you. I don't understand what that accomplishes. Right? Like, if you have a problem with the man's words, meet him with words, because there's nothing to be had by getting physical with somebody. That's a young kid in a young mentality that for somebody like me, who's my age, I'm just like, I've known for a long time that physicality, that trying to get into a physical altercation, it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't solve anything. It makes you look bad. I don't even care that he went on the program or whatever. It's just the physical intimidation and the physical contact part of it, right? That's the only problem that I have. You want to call him a bitch? Call him a bitch. I don't care. If you think Grant's a bitch, then Grant's a bitch. Like, no worries. But it's not like you're going to walk up on Grant and knock the hat off his head like he's going to, like, square up on you. Like, I don't understand what that's all about. It literally doesn't do anything except create a headache for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, who have to do like what they did today, where John Lynch has to facilitate a hash out session between Grant Cohn and Javon Kinlaw in his office. And that could have been completely avoided had this been a situation like, and the stream kind of makes it worse, because if it was just a thing of like where Grant comes on and it's like, man, you know, where he did the thing where Grant's like, oh, he called me a sucker ass bitch, and he starts doing the rap or whatever, then it's like, oh, Grant's doing his thing where he embellishes shit, right? Like it's a he said, she said. But when he goes on there and kind of confirms like what happened, then you're just like, oh man, why'd you do that? Like, I don't understand why that would be the route that you went, right? Like, talk your shit to him, be like, I mean, at worst, like, at least try something first. Like, hey man, I don't appreciate you dogging me like that. That's fucked up. Like, telling me I'm always in the training room. I don't like that. What are you trying to gather out of this? At least say something first before you immediately like beeline to him, you know, on the practice field or whatever. I know. Listen, we've all done the playbook. Every time Grant asks a question to Kyle Shanahan, I'm afraid that Kyle Shanahan's eyes are going to get stuck in the back of his head from how hard he rolls. You know what I mean? My only problem with this was the physicality, right? And then confirming the physicality. It's a bad look for me. But I mean, apparently they hashed it out, so this probably won't be anything at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it to you next, but then I'll share my thoughts on the whole situation. But before I do, I feel like I have to play the clip just in the fairness argument. So let me pull up the clip. And guys, I'm sure you've already seen it since it's like viral, but if you haven't seen it, it is pretty graphic and language used. So just be advised if you have children, maybe there are some curse words. So I'm going to play it now. It's about 2 minutes. I guess we'll play the entirety.
All this shit you talking, all this back and forth, all this bickering, all this, I was in the training room today. Fam, the training room is nowhere near the field. Fam, I looked at you, you looked at me, you pulled your shades up, came walking over a little bit, not walking to me, you walked up a little bit just so I could make sure that it was you. I walked over, I approached you, put my chest on you, on your side. You turned towards me, and that was the rest of the story, fam.
Hold on, though.
Stop making it seem like I came about you at a cowardly way. I came at you man to man, brother. Put some respect on my name, bro. You don't know me. You don't know where I'm from, bro. Put some respect on my name, brother. I'm a man just like you. My nuts is bigger than yours, brother.
I asked you what I said about you.
My balls is bigger than yours, brother. Put some respect on my name.
All right, Javon.
Put some respect on my name, brother. Stop talking about me like I'm an animal or something, brother.
What did I say about you?
Don't worry about none of that. Don't worry about none of that. You already know.
Javon, if you're gonna come on my channel,
you want to try to bring me hardcore facts, bro.
Javon, you're gonna come on my channel and tell me what to say and what not to say. You should have some posts. What did I say about
bro? Nobody fucks with that. Nobody fucks with you. You don't even understand that. Nobody fucks with you, brother. You need to go find a new job. Nobody fucks with you.
What does that mean?
What you mean? What it mean? Nobody fucks with you.
Are you sure?
Nobody fucks with you, fam. And the only reason I'm getting on here stooping to your level this low is because I feel like it got to be done. Somebody got to do it, and it's going to be me. Somebody got to press you, fam. You like to come on here and try to bully people on the internet. But when I press up on you in fucking person, you fucking shaking like a coward, voice lighter than my fucking baby, fam. What's up with that?
I'm scared of you, Javon?
What's up with that, fam?
You think I'm scared of you, Javon?
Fam, I don't give a fuck if you are or not. All I know is when I walked up on you, your fucking body temperature was fucking cold as ice.
Straight bitch. My body temperature?
Straight bitch. Your fucking balls shriveled up. Little dick nigga.
Hey, Javon, do you think
playing with me, bro?
Javon, do you think you're representing the 49ers well right now?
Okay, so I want to say Grant fucked up when he was like, "You think I'm scared of you, Javon? We know you're scared of Javon, bro. Like, don't keep it real, man. I'm not scared of a lot of dudes, but if a 6'5", 320 dude walked up on me and put his chest on me, I'd be like, fuck.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a rough day."
So, Mike, before I throw it over to you, there was also the clip that a lot of the 49ers players took issue with, and I think rightfully so, where Grant was explaining what happened, and basically his recollection of events was, oh, I'm about to get a payday because Javon Kinlaw, multimillionaire, is about to lay hands on me, and therefore I'm going to sue him. And his thought process was, I'm going to retire a millionaire. And that's kind of the quote that a lot of these 49ers players are like, you know what, this is fucked up. Why can he come in here, basically antagonize us, and then play the victim when somebody confronts him or retaliates back? But before I get into any more, what are your thoughts on this whole situation, Mike?
All right, so I think, Kinlaw shouldn't have responded and reacted the way that he did. That's the first thing. It's like first and foremost, right? But I'm not mad at Kinlaw for going on his show. I'm not mad at Kinlaw for having an attitude. I'm not mad at Kinlaw for the message that he had. If you listen to what Kinlaw was saying in the order in which he was saying it, this entire appearance on that episode was a response to Grant Cohn's, "Oh my God, Kinlaw knocked my hat off my head" video earlier. That's what he started with. He was like, stop lying, tell the truth. Like, you saw me, I saw you, you pulled your shades up to make sure I saw it was you, and then you took a step towards me so you could so I could see you, and then I walked up to you and put my chest on you. That's what happened. So he was clarifying from the beat. Now, he's not the most articulate guy. I'm surprised. Honestly, as a 49ers fan who's been watching this guy for, 2.5 years now, the most words I've heard him say combined, like you add up all the other Kinlaw pressers and clips, this is the most we've ever heard from him. He's not going to come in here and give you this long, beautifully thought out and well-spoken soliloquy on how he feels. That's maybe a culture difference, whatever you want to call it. That's not who this guy is. That's not who that man is. So he's reacting the way that he knows how to react, right? And if you pay attention to the order in which he was speaking, everything was all about responding to what Grant said earlier. And then Grant starts antagonizing him. What did I say about you that was silly?
Well, I think that's a valid question, though. When he says, like, when he's got a problem, when Javon says he's got a problem with what Grant's been talking about him, and he says, what have I said that's been upsetting to you? And Javon says, don't worry about it. Like, I mean, address it. Like, that's where you got to address it. Like, if Grant's talking shit, then say, hey, dude, you tell me I'm always in the training room and shit. That's fucked up. Like, I don't like that.
Grant, if you watch that first video, Grant ran down a list of everything negative he said about Kinlaw. Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? Grant just wanted some validation. Hey, these guys watch my shows. That's what he was looking for. And we know that he does that because he says it all the time. Oh, these guys watch me. These guys listen to me. He was looking for gratification in that moment. Well, what exactly was it that I said? And then he later on doubles up and says, hey, you should, if you're going to come on the show to talk to me, you should have some quotes about what I said. It's all about me. Me. And what Kinlaw was doing, if you listen to what he was trying to say, us players don't like what you've been doing. We don't like what you've been saying and how you've been talking about us. He was passionate about it. Again, I don't think he went about it the right way, talking about little dicks and my nuts and all that shit. Like, but again, that's his mindset. You understand what I'm saying? That's how he's wired. That's the way that certain people know how to communicate. You know what I'm saying? You hurt my feelings, I'm going to hurt your feelings back. This is the only way I know to hurt your feelings. I don't know nothing else about you.
No, I get it. But my thing is, like, how long has Grant been on his bullshit? This is not anything new. And you don't think the 49ers would sit the players aside as they come in and go, hey, look, we got this motherfucker over here that just stirs shit up. He hasn't done anything so egregious we can strip his press pass. Here's how you deal with this dude. Because earlier in the day, you got a perfect example of how to deal with him when he asked Trey Lance, what do you do when people talk shit about you, whatever. And he's like, all due respect, I don't care. Right? Like, there's a way to deal with it professionally, but walking up to somebody on a field and putting your chest on them, that automatically you fucked up. Like, you're in the wrong immediately.
I agree. But Trey Lance is going to go through and has gone through a level and a course of media training that Javon Kinlaw has never gone through. You were drafted in the first round. Yes, they do this whole, rookie symposium and things like that, right? For all rookies. That's a blanketed thing. They tell them, don't lose your cool. Keep in mind, you represent the shield. You represent your teams, blah, 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 blah. He got the blanketed stuff. A starting quarterback for an NFL team has way more media training and knows he has to tiptoe way more than a guy like Javon Kinlaw, who's been on the sideline for the last season and a half.
I get that, but like somebody like AA, who's had problems with like Tim Kawakami and shit, AA ain't gonna take him aside and be like, dude, these dudes are gonna fucking come after you and ask, like, it's like earlier, what was it when Charvarius Ward got signed and he was caught on a hot mic going like, damn, these dudes ask some stupid fucking questions, right? Yeah. Like, somebody on the team has to take him aside and be like, look, this is how we got to do with the local media, whatever. This is just how it is, right? Like, it sucks. It's whatever. I tell you right now, like at my job, bro, I got people that try to hit, they spit, they try to throw piss on you. They do all kinds of crazy shit, right? But I can't retaliate. I can't do anything like that because that's what's expected as part of the job. And it doesn't matter if I'm in charge of the shift or I'm just a part of the shift. Fact of the matter is I represent the hospital that I work at, and it doesn't matter what happens to me, right? I'm there for a purpose. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to be a professional. Yeah. And that's the aspect that I have a problem with, is that he let his emotions get in the way of him being a professional. For a fucking professional troll that we all know talk shit about the 49ers. Doesn't matter if they're good. Doesn't matter if they're shit. When they're good, he's like, man, fuck, they could be better. Jimmy sucks. Kyle, I question him, whatever. When they suck, he goes, see, I fucking told you they sucked. He's a professional troll. Everybody knows he is. He's been that way. You know, his father kind of was that way too. I feel like Lowell was that way in a way. And Grant has just turned it up to 9. I think that even if it's not necessarily 100% on Javon, I feel like some of that's on his teammates for not like looking out for him and be like, look, this is how you have to deal with this asshole. Because he's always like,
My bad.
damn, I was going too hard. Zach cut me off.
I think
there.
I hit it early. My bad. I thought you were done. I was trying to get it right when you were done. My bad.
No, you're good. But I mean, even Kyle is just like, fuck every time Grant talks, you could see Kyle just go, fuck this asshole. Right. So like it's not 100%. I think there's fault on both sides. Mainly the fault with Javon that I have is the physical intimidation and the physical contact. That was a bridge too far. Talk your shit if you need to, but you don't need to get physical with somebody who ain't gonna do shit.
He didn't get physical with him. He walked up on him and he knocked.
He said he put his chest on him. Yeah. That's too much.
No,
He literally said, "I put my chest on you." That's too much. That's too much. You're invading somebody's physical space. You can't do that.
He knocked the hat off his head for both of them. They both agreed. But let me just say my point.
That's my only problem is the physicality.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. My thing is, and I think Grant touched on it immediately because he understood how this was going to be interpreted by a lot of fans and probably the organization. He immediately asked, do you think the 49ers are proud of how you're representing the team right now? That's literally the first question. Well, I think once he realized that Kinlaw was going to actually take it there, and it wasn't like he was just coming on to shoot the shit or he was coming on to maybe troll a little bit.
I feel like Grant kind of wanted that, though.
He 100% did.
Grant
I'm not saying like he was
that.
genuinely like, Kinlaw, think about how you rep. No, like he was trying to provoke it and he got exactly what he wanted. He even said in the show earlier, like, oh my God, this is like one of the moments like when Debo blocked me. Oh, I got so much more fame off of that. Like when my face went viral for like looking in the camera all weirdly. Yeah. He basically said this is going to be one of those moments. And then Kinlaw came on and totally, I think it went past even what he was expecting. But my whole thing is, I do think that although fans don't like Grant Cohn, most fans I would say don't appreciate Grant Cohn. They don't like his style of journalism. I think he's maybe a hack, whatever the case may be. I don't think Kinlaw comes out if you're looking like the good guy. I don't think he looks professional. And two things can be true at once. Grant was in the wrong and he antagonized and he provoked, and Kinlaw did not handle this correctly.
Right. And here's the thing. We knew what Grant was going in, right? And so Grant comes out the other side. Look at it's like, okay, par for the course for Grant. The only status quo change is we didn't know that Javon was going to be like this.
Yeah.
And so when you have a guy who's doing what is expected of him, which is Grant being a piece of shit troll, whatever you want. And I'll say this, Grant Cohn in person he's a nice dude. Like I haven't had any problem with him. Every time I've met him, he's been a cool dude or whatever. I don't know if it's a persona or he feels like he has to dial it up for clicks or whatever the fuck. But when he's online, he takes it too far. Javon, I didn't expect this out of him. And so when it's an unexpected action, that's what people are going to focus on. They're going to be like, oh, whoa, where'd that come from? You know what I mean? And I think that's where the mess up is on Javon's part, because Grant's just doing what Grant does, and everybody rolls their eyes and goes, yeah, this is typical for fucking Grant. Like, I mean, even Ben Albright's like, yeah, he's a fucking joke. Like, everybody thinks he's a joke. We've known he's a joke for years. It's whatever. But for him to get physical, I think that's where the issue is. I don't even care that he was like, oh, shrivel up balls, whatever, right? Like, okay, meet your words. It's not the words that I would choose, but I have a very strong stance against bully behavior. And for a 6'5", 320 professional athlete to put his chest and knock the hat off a dude, doesn't matter if he's being a little prick or whatever, right? Like, you got to be above that. Like, it's the old adage, sticks and stones, right? Talk your shit, but don't like go up, because the minute you touch him, you fucked up. It's like if you're in a relationship with a woman and she's talking shit on you, right? Talk your shit back. But the minute you fucking get physical, you fucked up. It doesn't matter if she was wrong to begin with, because you're wrong now. And that's how it is. If you think Grant Cohn's a little bitch, then treat him like a woman. Don't put your hands on him. Like, simple as that.
The thing is, we're discounting. All right, you said I didn't expect this from Kinlaw. I don't know where these expectations came from. To me, watching this and listening to both of their reenactments, or how they verbally told their side of what happened. To me, Kinlaw showed excellent restraint. He still went too far. I want to be very clear with what I'm saying. He should not have done what he did, but knowing that type of person, He did show restraint, only walking up on Grant, only knocking the hat off of his head. And you could hear it in his tone, in the way he was talking towards the end of that video. He doesn't like this human being. I don't like you. People don't fuck with you. And
but
so
when Javon gets up on him and presses him and shows restraint, as you say, man, I watched Grant Cohn last year verbally assault Jimmy Garoppolo all season. And I know Jimmy's not the same type of dude or whatever and that goes to whatever, but Jimmy didn't pay that shit no mind. And if anybody had a reason to walk up on Grant Cohn, it'd be Jimmy Garoppolo, because Grant Cohn's been basically calling him a bum ass for like fucking forever, right? And he didn't do shit. And there's a difference between being out in the streets and being a representative for somebody, right? Like, if they were in the streets, different. Like, they're meeting up. TMZ says, oh, fucking Grant Cohn was at a club. Javon Kinlaw walked up on him, whatever. That's different. Dude, you were at your job. You were at your fucking job and you walked up on somebody. You lacked the presence of mind to be like, I'm here to work. It doesn't matter if I'm not practicing. I'm here to learn. I'm whatever. That's your place of business. If I walked up on anybody, didn't matter what they did to me, and I put my chest on them, I'm fucking fired.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the fuck up. And that's the only problem I have. Nothing else except for the physical contact. That's it for me.
I am not side. Are my words coming out fucked up?
You've clearly said they're both in the wrong.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm getting my point across here, because I said, to me, looking at the type of person he is, he showed restraint. I said he still went too far. So don't misconstrue what I'm saying at all. Like, at all. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Here's what I didn't like about Grant's thing. He immediately turned into a Karen. Yeah. This whole victim shit. Oh, man, I can't believe this happened. And da-da-da-da. Like, he did this and he did that. That shit was weak as fuck to me.
Real quick, Matt, the tweet where he goes, Kinlaw says he knows me and my friends and family. That sounds like a threat. Like that tweet. I don't know if you saw that. He tweeted that right after that happened. And I thought, that's kind of a bitch move. That's kind of that's a Karen move.
And if you listen to what he was saying, if you listen to what Kinlaw was saying, he was like, you don't know me. You don't know me at all. You don't know the type of people I know. He was like, bro, like, my friends and family know what you look like. That's not saying I'm sending anybody after you. That's saying you have no idea how people are going to react when they see you somewhere. You got to be mindful of what you're saying. You talk about us as if we're not humans. You got to be mindful. There's this rapper named Freddie Gibbs who's been beefing with Jim Jones and all this. And I don't know if you guys are aware of what happened, but he goes out to this soul food place in Buffalo, and he's been beefing with certain rappers from Buffalo. The rappers weren't even there. Fans of the rappers jumped Freddie Gibbs, right? The rappers didn't call and say, hey, take care of this, hey, do this, or whatever. That was a byproduct of a person running their mouth, being recognizable, and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Kinlaw was saying, you can't keep doing that. You got to understand that people know what you look like. You running your mouth and talking about us like we're not people. And that he to me, he was what Grant took as a threat, I think, again, is the cultural difference. Grant didn't receive that the same way. I've had conversations with people in the street. Hey, you got to be careful. Watch your mouth. That's not a threat to me. That's, hey, people can hear you. People can see you. Tone it down, because you don't know how other people are going to react to what you're saying and doing. That's all. So I don't know. And like I said, both of them were wrong. I just didn't like that shit that Grant was trying to do.
No, I'm not absolving him either, because he did play the whole victim shit. And I think without like the physicality, I would be 100% on Javon's side. My only issue with Javon was the physicality. But I will say that Grant's fucking up too. You even heard in the clip where he's saying, like, you know, oh, you think I'm afraid of you? Like, that's inflammatory, dude. Like, you can't fucking say shit like that. And then to go on, I against my better judgment, I hopped in that fucking Twitter space today that Grant was on. And then he said, they're like, oh man, this is no big deal to me. I hope it doesn't go any further. And it's like, bitch, you put all these fucking tweets out yesterday talking about how you feel, you know, oh, that sounds like a threat to me, or oh, like I'm gonna make millions, or oh, this and this and that. And it's just like, you can't fucking do that one day and then sleep on it and then be like, no big deal.
Were you in there when I was
clearly clout chasing, which is what you do all the time anyway. but you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, if it was just like, that one thing or whatever, it's whatever, right? Like, you can go and be like, hey man, like, you can go talk to the team privately and be like, well, I don't know what the fuck was up with that. But he turned it into a media circus, right? Like, he's getting on TMZ. I'm sure national media is going to pick this shit up. And he's trying to fucking figure this out and get clicks out of it and turn this into prop for him. And like, that's the part that's scummy to me. And I know that's what Grant does or whatever. So it's that meme of fucking, what's his name, DJ Khaled or whatever, where it's like, Javon Kinlaw, you played yourself, because Grant's gonna come out the other side. He didn't do anything overt where the 49ers can revoke his press pass. So now everybody's just gonna focus on how you like made a mistake. Where Grant's gonna come out, he's gonna get extra clicks, he's gonna fucking do his fucking thing. He's still gonna go there and ask like annoying ass fucking questions of people, and nothing's gonna happen. And we're people are just gonna remember, fuck Javon, man, he fucked up. And that's unfortunate because Grant precipitated this whole thing. Javon messed up by reacting the way that he did. But in a way, like, not the physicality part, but in terms of getting dressed down by somebody, Grant's had that shit coming for a long time.
Were you in the spaces when I was in there and I spoke to Grant directly?
I briefly, dude, like, I've worked 3 straight days and nights. I was like, it was like in the morning, I was getting ready to like go to sleep for a little bit, and I just like turned it on or whatever.
So again, I want to touch on the segment where Grant discussed this briefly before Kinlaw went on, and then I also wanted to show some of the posts from the 49ers current and former players that are coming out and discussing what Grant said. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Just really quick. Kinlaw didn't even want to do what he did. There's so his words are being overlooked, and just the highlighted stuff that's coming out is like grabbing the headlines. But if I'm telling you guys, this man isn't eloquent enough to get his point across, right? He said the only reason I'm stooping this low is because someone's got to do it. And so it might as well be me, or it's going to be me. He understood in that moment that this isn't what I would normally do. This isn't something that I should be doing. And no one is giving Kinlaw, when I say he showed restraint, if you listen to what he was really saying, you can hear it in there. But you got to be paying attention to what he was saying, and don't let the talking about scrotums and shit distract you. You know what I'm saying? So, but it was there. But all right, I'm gonna shut up.
No, I feel you. And I will say this, with all the players coming and backing Javon Kinlaw, and with the fact that John Lynch precipitated a private meeting between Cohn and Kinlaw in his office, it's clear that the team is not that mad about this situation. That they're on Javon's side, like, dude, somebody had to fucking do it. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the thing. So
I 100%.
We lost Zach's camera.
Can you hear me still? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we still
can hear you.
I'm gonna back out and come back in. I don't really know what happened. Give me a second.
All right. While he's backing out, I did talk to Grant. The one thing that I didn't know about this before the spaces was Grant said that the team PR had contacted him about his video and the incident, and they said, we didn't know that happened, our apologies or whatever, we'll talk to him about it. So when Grant saw him in the room, he thought that Kinlaw was coming on as a response to the team already talking to him, because I said there's no way you could have all this vitriol and hate that you've been spewing about these players and expect him to come on and have something positive to say. And he was like, well, no, I thought it was this. So I will give Grant that part. I didn't know that was the one thing that's behind the scenes that we weren't abreast of that until I said something to him about it in the spaces there.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But after the fact, like, if it was something super egregious, like the team would have made a statement, or there would have been like, whatever. The team didn't make no statement. It was a private behind the scenes thing that they're probably, that they're kind of burying or whatever. To me, it's the fact that they like, it's not an out and out endorsal of what he did. I'm sure they talked to him behind the scenes of like, dude, we know Grant has it coming, but you got to fucking take it easy with putting your chest on somebody. But for me, that it's like the team, it's almost like they're like, maybe don't do that the way you did it.
No,
right?
yeah,
Like,
it
we're
was
behind
100%.
you 100%, and I totally get
Right.
it. And I've been very critical of Grant Cohn and the way he goes about shit, because I don't like the way that he talks about the team. It seems like something is always wrong for him. Nothing is ever good enough, and I hate the constant negativity that he seems to breed.
But that's his job as a columnist, right? His job is to get
right.
clicks. If you anything negative from anybody, Adam Rank, whoever, Mike Florio, those are the things that blow up. That's his job, is to get those clicks. And so if I'm going to do my job well, I got to study what gets the responses, what gets the interactions, and that's what I have to produce. And you learn those things when you talk to Grant. That's not who he is. I have sat down and spoke with this man and his wife in person. Like, he's a great guy.
Of course, they're both beautiful people in person, for sure.
He's got a job to do.
Right. I just think it's the double down. Like when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar and you go, it wasn't me. Like, it's like, come on, bro.
Okay.
At that point, it's like, you gotta relax.
I'm gonna play this video. This is Grant Cohn speaking about the situation shortly before Javon Kinlaw did join. So I'm gonna play this. This is Eric Armstead tweeted this out, by the way, and I'll say what he said shortly.
Zero scared. Because look, my dad was in the industry. He put me up on game when I was very young. Because honestly, if he had touched me, if he pushed me, dude, I could have retired today. That's what went through my mind. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm about to retire. I'm about to be out of the game. I'm about to be a multimillionaire thanks to Javon Kinlaw. But no, I got to keep working. Oh, well, hard on you. Zero.
So
that's
clearly,
a bitch mentality. I'm sorry, that's a bitch mentality. You can't say that.
And how much of it is he just saying it to be
again? Is that his gimmick? Right? Is that his gimmick? Is that what he's doing?
I texted Mike earlier. You know, it's like it's his persona, but at some point, the bill comes due, and all this shit you've been talking, and all this.
Because I will say this, Mike, what you were saying about him and talking to him in person and his wife, and I've done that too, and they're both nice people and shit. I feel like he was a little bit different in that spaces today than he is on his videos. And so is he doing the heel turn, as it were? Is he doing his gimmick, right? And then in the spaces, he seemed like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, you know, it is what it is, whatever, right? So he's bringing this on himself in a lot of ways, because he's unwilling to uncouple himself from his online persona. If he addressed it straight as like the straight man or whatever, and he's just like, hey, listen, I know that like I make this incendiary content or whatever. The thing with Javon Kinlaw got out of hand. I'm sorry for my part in it, whatever. Instead of being like, oh, I could have retired today, it would have been a different story. But he also played that shit up. So he has just as much to blame as Javon does for overreacting to it. It's fucking crazy, man.
100%. So I'm going to go through some of the teammates and former teammates' reactions. So Eric Armstead tweeted that clip out that I just shared, and he said, this is the type of a lowlife we let into our building. He would rather antagonize and provoke players into hitting him so he can retire instead of doing his, quote, job of journalism. Armstead clearly not a fan. And then I also have some other posts here from our Instagram that our Instagram manager put together. So Javon Kinlaw posted this on his story saying, stand firm for what you believe. Don't let no one play with your top. 100 emoji.
Do you guys understand that? And I'm not trying to be funny.
No. Go ahead. Maybe like, you know, I saw somebody in here say, you know, I'm an older white man. I don't really understand the intricacies of this.
From the way that I read that, from what it's stand firm for what you believe. Don't let anybody gaslight you or fuck with your head.
Don't let anybody disrespect you. You can't. Don't play with your top, your head, your name. Like you're. This is me you're talking about, right? Don't. It's one thing to say I'm injured. Cool, I'm injured, but don't call me a bust. I haven't shown you guys what I can do yet. I got 2 more years. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to say you're disappointed with the production I have so far, that's fine. But stand firm for what you believe. Don't let no one play with your top. You can't come on here and disrespect me. You can say that my career's been disappointing, but you can't disrespect me. And I'm gonna check you for that. Sorry.
I'm gonna pretend like I got that half right.
Okay, so I shared what Eric Armstead said. Tabor Peppers, he quoted Grant Cohn, the quote I just said, And then he said the faithful can arrange an early retirement if the fan base boycotts your low effort shit posting called journalism. George Kittle. It's crazy to me that someone who is allowed into our building has the mindset / goal to antagonize and irritate players with their end game of being this. I thought players and reporters were supposed to work together. Being in this building, let alone this league, is an opportunity. It's not a right. People get really comfortable typing behind a screen. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but continuing to go after a player habitually seems like someone whose goal isn't to report or write a story.
And I'm behind the players on this stuff. Although the Kittle thing, I'm like, you can't say someone types behind the screen and you see his ass every day at practice. Like, that's different. That's
Also,
different than like anonymous online Twitter egg guy. But this is what needs to be done for Grant Cohn to be called out. Yeah. Right? Like this type of shit where all the players come together and like, this dude is an asshole. And we all know he's an asshole.
Also, guys, I see we got close to 100 people in here. Hit like, hit subscribe. We're closing in on our record of most live viewers at once. So support the channel, hit like, hit subscribe. Let's get, I don't know, everyone hit like. Let's get 100 likes on this video right now. Moving on to the next teammates' comments. Brandon Ayuk said, if you're going to say something about someone, stand on that shit. Don't backpedal and start playing victim. 100 emoji. And then Debo, nah, for real, I've had to block Grant's ass because he's doing the most, for real. I think that's, oh, no. And then Tart said, laugh my
Debo
fucking
signing
ass
a
off.
long-term contract confirmed just off that right there.
Laugh my fucking ass off. Crazy how players become the bad guy for standing up for themselves. Media / social media has a huge influence on players' narratives, allowing anyone to speak on your name with no accountability for what they say. And I think this goes into what Mike was just saying a little bit ago, where, you know, don't call me a bust because your words actually do have some value and meaning towards them. And you're out here shaping the narrative around my name and expect me to just be okay with it and let you, and Javon's opinion, slander him. So I don't know. Am I totally reaching here by saying the players could theoretically get his press pass revoked? Is that something that's even possible?
Nah, they're not going to do that because there's no cause for the team to do it. Right? Like it'll be at worst, it's going to be an organizational like come together where it's like, we know this dude is a fuck up and we don't like the way he asks you questions and we know he's inflammatory. This is how you got to deal with a guy like this, because until he crosses X line or Y line or Z line, we can't do anything about it. You know, he has access. So until that point, they're not going to be able to do anything. But I will say this is honestly, man, I kind of like the way that this is bringing the team together.
Yeah,
I kind of like it, and it's a fuck up. And Grant, if they won the Super Bowl, Grant's gonna be, Grant's gonna be like, it was because of my shit with Kinlaw.
I did that. Yeah, I did that. And see, I'm even guilty of that, right? Like, because he went off on Armstead a couple seasons ago. Armstead had a career year, right? So when he did the video from the field talking about when Kinlaw knocked his hat off his head, I said last time Grant did this, we had an all-pro season from Armstead, so thanks in advance, right? And that's the kind of shit that like he likes. That's the kind of stuff that he's there for. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's terrible. But I thought you were going to even have Mostert commented on this.
Yeah, I didn't have his in here. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's cool. But it's
Tyreek Hill.
Really cool. Yeah, Tyreek Hill. It's really good to see. Like he galvanized the team. He gave them a reason to come together. I can guarantee you, when Kinlaw walked in the locker room today, he probably got some applause from a couple of people. And then they were like, all right, we can't do this. This never happened. But listen, we completely understand. We get it. We've been wanting to do this for so long. You got it out your system. But, bro, we got to chill now. Now we got to focus. Now let's direct that energy the right way, and let's get better. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
Come on. Like that.
So
it's that situation where, like, he gets physical with them, right? And everybody's like, hey, you shouldn't have got physical with them, but fuck, I'm glad somebody did it because I wanted to do it a long time ago. You know what I mean?
And that's what I was going to ask
Zach,
you guys.
we haven't heard your whole take on this. Like, what is your start to finish take on this whole thing? And then we can like move on.
Yeah.
You know.
I got you. My whole take on this is I don't condone what either party did. I think, and hear me out here, but I think Kinlaw is more in the wrong than Grant is, because I believe Kinlaw should be held to a higher standard than somebody who writes for Sports Illustrated, with all due respect to Grant, Kinlaw's making millions of dollars, former first-round pick, essentially the face of, I don't want to say the franchise, but of that year's class of players. You were our first-round pick, and I said this last night, and I know some of the group chat was kind of gassing me up over it, but I said, he got Buckner's number. This was essentially DeForest Buckner's replacement. If you would have told me that DeForest Buckner would have checked someone physically and then gone on and told them that his nuts are bigger than his. Now, I know two totally different people. You can't really compare them. But in this sense, I am, in the sense that he did replace Buck. So it's tough for me to see an argument that Kinlaw was in the right. I would have been totally okay with it if he physically went up and told him something and left it at that. I agree with you, Matt, that physically checking him was a step too far that I don't condone. But him going up to him and saying, hey, you've been talking a lot of shit about me. I don't appreciate it. I want you to stop. Whatever he might have said in his, slang that got across to Grant, then it could have been left at Grant saying that Kinlaw said this and Kinlaw doesn't even acknowledge it type thing. But it wasn't left at that, unfortunately. It then turned into, he went on and further argued, went at, confronted Grant, and then it turned into this big old deal. And now it's not a good look for the franchise, in my opinion, because a franchise that prides themselves on high character guys, people that are upholding their values. I don't know. When's the last 49er play we had going on a reporter's live stream telling them their nuts are bigger than theirs? And I totally understand the specific situation.
I get where you're coming from. And I think, again, like I said, my biggest issue is the physicality. Is my nuts are bigger than yours the most mature thing? No. But at the end of the day, I can sympathize with somebody like Javon Kinlaw, who you just have this fucking pest always in your ear, right?
Yeah.
I just think that this is a learning opportunity for the team to cover and say, hey, if we have somebody who is representing our team and we know that we have a troll in the building and we can't get rid of them because they're not doing anything overtly wrong, here's how we have to deal with the situation. And it sucks. He's going to serve you a plate full of shit and you're going to have to take a bite and be like, all right, I guess so. Right. Yeah. And you're going to have to learn to like the taste of it because you're a professional athlete. And like you said, he is held to a higher standard, whether that's right or wrong. That's just how it is. Nobody gives a shit about Grant Cohn, the reporter, whereas everybody gives a shit about Javon Kinlaw, the player.
Yeah, I hear you. We got a super chat from our guy, Sean. Said, I just don't get it. Why would anyone be upset with Grant? Grant carries the torch of his pop. Read some old Lowell Cohn articles. You will see Lowell's ceiling and Grant's floor. He didn't pull punches. Yeah. Thank you for your support.
Sarcasm detected.
A ton of sarcasm in there. Man. I love Sean.
So just real quick, he did squash it according to Grant, and I'm going to play the clip. This is courtesy of Jesse on Twitter, and this is from Grant and the show he does with Larry Krueger, I believe. So I'm going to play this quick clip, and I really think it's interesting, but I want to get your guys' take after we watch it, and then we'll discuss it.
We got full show for you today, but before we get into what we're going to talk about, I just want to say right off the bat, I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering what's going on between me and Javon Kinlaw after all that stuff yesterday. And I also want to say that Javon and I met up today at the 49ers facility. We hashed it out. He said everything he wanted to say. I listened. We shook hands. We squashed it. It's over. So what I want to say is I appreciate Javon Kinlaw for meeting me today and taking the time to tell me exactly how he felt. I respect him. And I deeply appreciate John Lynch for facilitating it. It was all in his office. So it was his idea. It was a very grown-up thing that he did, and I feel like I'm better for it. I hope we all feel that way. Anyway, it's squashed. It's over. It has a happy ending. Let's move on.
Okay. So, Mike, I'm going to throw it to you first. What did you find most interesting about that?
There's no Sports Illustrated logos behind them anymore. That's what I found most interesting.
Oh, I did not notice that.
And so I'm wondering if he was put on some little probation until the situation is figured out and ironed out. I don't have any proof of that. I don't know anything, but I know that normally he has that little like the drop down thing behind him in his videos, and that wasn't there. Hasn't been there. So I don't know. But the good thing is you don't have to worry about Kinlaw being suspended. You have to worry about him being. I'm not going to say he won't be fined. I'm sure all that will be kept behind closed doors. But I don't think he's going to be suspended. I don't think he's going to miss any playing time due to the incident. And he got it off of his chest. That's what I really think is the best thing. And I'm hoping, because Grant's going to continue to be Grant. As long as Grant is writing, he's going to continue to be Grant. But what I'm hoping is that people learn to ignore the negative stuff and stop empowering it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens. He said it was a positive ending, good solution, mediated by John Lynch in his office. And he said they shook hands. I don't know about you guys, but growing up, one of the things I got in trouble the most for, me and my brother were to get into it. My mom was like, say sorry and hug him and tell him you love him. I had no problem with the hug and telling you I love him, but I'm not sorry. And so shaking someone's hand is like a sign of peace. I think Kinlaw is a man of morals. Whatever those morals may be, don't let anyone play with your top, right? Those were his words, right? If he shook his hand, the message was received and he moved on.
Real quick, Jesse says he's moving. That's why he doesn't have his background in the background, the Sports Illustrated. So maybe, Matt, before I throw it to you, I thought it was most interesting that he said John Lynch facilitated this meeting and it was in John Lynch's office. What's your take on this?
I listen, I think that John's just like, fuck, man, another thing I got to fucking deal with. Here's the key phrase to me. And the SI thing, it's one thing or another. I feel like that when Grant is doing his shit at like OTAs, he doesn't always have his stuff behind him. Like I've seen videos of him like in the offices and stuff like that, right? Where he doesn't have stuff behind him. I don't necessarily know that that's the case. I don't think that you can take anything. Grant is very curated with what he says in terms of, all right, this super chat is weird to me. Hey, you should think about inviting Mike from Nothing But Niners. Like, Mike's right here. I
think he's being sarcastic. Poor Kinlaw. Hopefully he matures. Interactions out of me for Kinlaw. I know, Mike. I will tell him about your show.
This guy has like the best sarcasm ever because his last one was sarcastic too. Good job, Sean.
Thank you, Sean, for the support. We really appreciate you. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No, but like, the SI thing, it could be this or that or whatever. But I think the key phrase in this is that John Lynch facilitated this, whatever. I feel like I'm a better person, which means I feel like John said something to Grant and was like, bro, you have access to this team, but that doesn't necessarily give you the right to just shit on the team all the time. And you got to curb the shit that you're saying, right? Otherwise, stuff like this is going to happen. And while I don't, maybe, and this is just me speculating, maybe while I don't condone what Kinlaw did physically, the fact of the matter is a lot of our players are not happy with how you cover the team. And that could have consequences down the line. We might not be able to necessarily revoke your press pass, but there might be certain aspects where we're not going to give you access above and beyond what we have to, and that could be a thing. But I think it's very telling that Grant was like, oh, well, I feel like I'm a better person out of this. And I feel like I've learned out of this, which is something that tells me that the team definitely addressed him and his behavior as well on top of Kinlaw. And I agree with Mike. Shaking hands is a sign of peace. It's not necessarily a sign of respect. It's just like, I'm going to let the issue go and we're not going to talk about it anymore. But that doesn't mean that I like you. It doesn't mean that I respect you. It just means that this bullshit is done for now. And where we go from here is up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
My last thing on this, John Lynch being the mediator was perfect. He's been on both sides of this, media and player. And so if there's anybody that can kind of bridge this thing, he's the perfect guy for it. So the 49ers got a good guy there in John Lynch.
So I thought it was really interesting because when we talked about this last night, when this whole story, I guess, when the video broke and everybody kind of noticed it, the guys in the chat and our 49ers Hive chat were kind of saying, I don't think this is going to go past the internet. And I was having a really hard time seeing how it wouldn't. I mean, I'm like, this is going to get brought up to Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch at the very least. I'm not sure if they'd address it. I'm not sure if they'd, suspend or fine. But I think the fact that John Lynch went out of his way to facilitate a meeting the very next day was telling, because I did think that maybe he realized this isn't a good look for any of us involved. Why don't we just go ahead and get together, squash it, get it under the rug and move forward. And I agree. That was very choice language from Grant saying, I feel like I'm a better person. If you don't think you did anything to begin with, or anything wrong, I should say, to begin with, why do you feel like you're a better person now? So I don't know. Maybe he was called out for antagonizing. I saw a few other reporters on Twitter going over some of the previous headlines of Grant Cohn's articles regarding Javon Kinlaw. And a lot of them were very, very pointed towards this can either be taken as a very negative article or straight up disrespect, like Javon Kinlaw's injured again, shocker, stuff like that. And it's like, I get it, but at the same time, it's very, very close to being personal. So we can wrap it up with that unless you guys have any other final thoughts on this whole Kinlaw Grant Cohn situation.
I just think that it's a potential to be a galvanizing moment for the team. And that's what I'm taking out of this. And he's going to take credit for it if something good happens out of it. But I will take the team's success that comes from Grant Cohn being an asshole.
Yeah. He already was trying to
lump it in. I like the fire that
him.
Javon Kinlaw has this early. Like, you this pissed off coming into OTAs. I can't wait for you to find a offensive lineman you don't like. Yeah, you'll blow that ass up. Like, just knock him on his ass.
Off last year too. I don't know if you guys remember. He was saying that the surgery that he had, he wasn't injured. This was something that the team said, "Hey, look, our defensive line is deep enough right now. We want you to get this corrective surgery so you can have a longer career." You know what I'm saying? He was not happy about that. He took to his social medias last offseason.
I do remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so then you go out there, you defend yourself publicly saying, "I'm not injured. This is business. Business is bullshit." Those were his words on his platform. And then you get articles saying, "Surprise, surprise, this motherfucker's injured again." It's like, did you not hear what I just said? Are you listening to me, or are you just writing the right? Are you just trying to disrespect me? And that's where this stems from, man. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
And by the way, I will still chop it up with Grant in person. I will still say hi and hellos and my salutations and shit. I just know I have in my mind the type of dude that he is with his persona. And it's a far cry from what he presents when you just talk to him one-on-one. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so we can wrap up this whole Javon Kinlaw, Grant Cohn situation. Let's go on towards some OTA reports, and then we'll wrap things up here shortly. It looks like Trey Lance has refined his, I don't want to say maybe necessarily throwing motion, but just kind of the whole motion of throwing. I know people say throwing motion. That's kind of like a whole heated topic, but he went 15 for 17 on 7-on-7s. And a lot of the videos were coming out looked good from Trey Lance. I'm not sure if I'm able to play any here, but what did you guys think of the OTAs? Anything that stuck out to you particular? Mike, I'll throw it to you first.
So I missed a lot of the reporting from OTAs. So I went hard on the pressers. So my takeaways are more from things that were said and not any reports from OTAs. Although I did talk to Breezy yesterday on our show, and he was saying that most of Kinlaw's, wow, look at me. Most of Lance's passes were short passes. And that could be taken negatively, but I like that. The main reason is because when we saw Lance go out there for those 2 games that he played, I kept saying to myself, if what Jimmy is doing is successful for this offense, why can't that be the base of what Lance does, and then sprinkling the shots down the field and moving him around and stuff like that? And it seemed like Kyle wasn't comfortable calling those same little screens and quick hitters to players in the flat and things like that with Lance. The report was most of it was all short stuff. So that got me excited. All right, now we're getting Jimmy plus Trey Lance. You know what I'm saying? So I like that a lot.
Okay.
I agree with you there. The thing is, Trey Lance at his baseline is a better deep ball passer than Jimmy Garoppolo has ever been in his life. So what we want to do is we want to raise the bar for Trey Lance to be, for whatever Jimmy was, between the numbers, intermediate throws, and slant patterns and stuff, Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty good, right? Trey Lance has shown that the slant route is kind of his bugaboo right now. He's overthrown that a few times. And so I agree with you, throwing to the flat, throwing those short passes, throwing those quick hitters, 7-on-7s where it's all coverage. You're not worried about a pass rush, or you're not worried about scrambling. Everything is a pass, everything is timing, everything is quick hitting. That's good for him.
Yeah.
My only caution is that it's the first day of OTAs. Nobody overreact. Like, it doesn't matter until he does what he does in games, because we've seen fantastic passers in camp that play the game, and it's like, oh, dog shit. It's about what happens in the game and what you want to see. Like, what Trey Lance was from last year to this year, he's going to improve, but it's not going to be necessarily a night and day improvement. What you want to see is a steady progression, a steady incremental improvement, and there's going to be growing pains. But it's like George Kittle, when he went on Rich Eisen, was like, there's going to be growing pains. We're going to have to live through them. We have enough around him that we should be able to weather that storm, but it's about getting the kid reps. He needs reps.
Yeah,
and that's
agree.
the biggest thing, is that he goes in. And I think it's very telling that when Kyle stepped to the podium, he's like, yeah, I fully expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be traded. It's not a guarantee, but that's what we expect. Yeah. And that, to me, is the biggest endorsement of Trey Lance being the starter week 1 out of anything, because we're OTA day 1. And Kyle's like, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo is on the block. Nobody talks about their quarterback like that unless it's something they're actively pursuing. So for me, it's Trey Lance's job. Plain and simple.
I didn't get into the pressures and all that stuff, but there was a bunch of signs that Garoppolo was done. One, and the biggest one is what Matt just said with Kyle flat out saying, like, he's done. Like, I expect him to be traded, right? The other thing was Kittle, Jimmy's best friend on the team, once Taylor left, saying, hey, I haven't heard from him since we cleaned out our lockers at the end of the year. I texted him, he didn't text me back. He even bought me this phone. He's still not responding to me. And then Brian Greasy coming out saying he hasn't worked or heard from him, things like that. So, I like it, man. I'm saying I like it, but I'm happy to know that we're moving on and this Jimmy Garoppolo saga is over. For better or worse, whatever the outcome is, I like that we're moving on and we can dead that situation. And we don't have to talk about that shit all offseason.
And by the way, I will claim this as validation. It hasn't happened yet. But if they're not able to trade Jimmy Garoppolo, the second he passes a physical, they're cutting his ass. There's no way you don't go with talking to the new quarterback coach and talking to your teammates and doing any of this stuff if you expect to be back in any regard whatsoever. He's toast. One way or another, he's gonna be gone. So for me, I'm gonna attaboy myself right now, because at the second he passes the physical and his, instead of the 7.5, it drops to the 1.4. He's Audi 5, like, gone.
So this was obviously voluntary camp. Debo did not show up. Alex Mack did not show up. The mandatory training camp is in about 3 weeks, June 14th through June 16th. Is that surprising either of you? I know maybe not necessarily Debo didn't show up, but what about Alex Mack?
No, because the way that Kyle put it is that, like, Alex Mack got married. He's in Ireland right now on, like, his honeymoon or whatever. And Kyle said, I have a pretty good idea of what Alex Mack is going to do. As opposed to what John said earlier, I'll let Alex Mack announce it. This, to me, speaks more of, I'm going to let Alex Mack do his thing. I'm not going to bug the shit out of him, but I'm pretty sure he's going to come back when it's time to come back. And I don't need to talk to him or stay ahead of a 15-year pro ahead of time, I know that he's going to be ready if and when he does come back. And the fact that Kyle says, I got a good idea of what's going on, says to me that Mac might come back for training camp and play one more year. I think he's letting him enjoy his time away from the game, like a lot of coaches do for their big time vets who, you know, when you hear from players, the biggest thing that they said is like, man, I love the games. I love the camaraderie. I love the team. I love this and this and that. I fucking hate training camp. They all say it to a T, right? So for me, Alex Mack, you know what he is. Like, you know, he's been a pro for his entire career. You've worked with him before. Do you need to bug him when he's on his honeymoon in Ireland? No, you just let the man be. And when it's time to show up and strap on your cleats and put on your shoulder pads and, you know, button up your chin strap, Alex Mack will be ready to go. So for me, I think that this is the first indication where I've actually leaned the other direction, where I think Alex Mack actually might come back.
Okay, I like it. Mike, what do you think? I know Debo, again, not as big of a surprise. Nobody's expecting him. Do you think he will show up for mandatory?
Well, if you're going to take Kyle as a man of his word, he said that Debo wasn't expected there, Bosa wasn't expected there, Mack nor Trent Williams. He said, but I expect to see all of them here for the mandatory portion, including Debo. So I'm going to take it at that. And by the way, I'm still not 100% sure Debo gets a contract extension. I think the Niners want to see what they got, and if they might be comfortable getting this third round comp pick for Debo. He's a top 15 wide receiver. Some people will put him in the top 10, and I'm not mad at that either. But I would not be surprised if they say, hey, look, you know, one wide receiver isn't going to make or break this team. We have a more physically abled quarterback right now. We'll use him for this season and let him go ahead and get his money out on the open market. So, but I do expect him to come back. I do.
Okay.
Well, I also expect him to come back because if he holds out for a mandatory training camp because of the way that the CBA is structured, he would actually not become an unrestricted free agent. He'd be a restricted free agent, which completely changes the game and allows the 49ers to match any offer that he gets. So I expect Debo to show up. In terms of like Trent Williams and those other guys, I think Kyle's telling it like it is. Like, there's no need to waste this mileage on vets who I know that are going to come in and be pros and be ready to go when the time comes. I don't need to run them through these like stupid drills that we're doing or whatever, right? Like, you know, you see Lance doing the drill with like the little blocking pad that runs horizontally and he's like working his foot and stuff like that. For Lance, that's good because it's like he's still learning, he's still adjusting his base. Do you really need Fred Warner running like 3 cones and doing tackling dummies and shit? Like, you don't need that. Like, he doesn't need it. Right. Wait until it's time to gear up for the preseason and the season and then get him those calluses of like, I'm hitting something. I need to build those calluses. I don't need to do anything before that. Fred Warner is obviously staying in shape. We've seen the videos of him doing like MMA and stuff. Like, he's in good shape. When you get to a certain level of professionalism, you don't need to worry about those guys. And I think that that's where Kyle is. I'm not worried about those guys, the leaders of the team, the vets of the team that aren't necessarily there.
So, question from Fernando, Matt and Zach, do you think Debo Samuel outplayed his rookie contract? I can go first and I'll kick it over to Matt. I don't know, man. I mean, the easy answer here is saying yes. Clearly he did. The season he just had was unbelievable. He outplayed where he was drafted. But does that outshine or outweigh the previous 2 seasons where he wasn't healthy fully? He missed a lot of games. I think he's been paid perfectly fine for the amount of production we've gotten from him. Maybe he's broken even. I don't know if he's necessarily outplayed it, but I mean, he was drafted. What was he? A 3rd round pick, 2nd round pick? 2nd round pick. So his contract was a 4-year, $7.2 million contract with 4.7 of that guaranteed. I think that's perfectly in line for what the production we've received from him. Maybe last year it might have balanced it out. And maybe if he has another year like the year he had last year, then yes, I would say he's outplayed it. But as of right now, I would say it's perfectly fine. Matt, what do you think? Has he outplayed it or not?
I think it doesn't fucking matter. The contract is the contract. They're all slotted. Who gives a fuck if you outplayed your rookie contract? You're playing for your second contract anyway. That's the deal, right? Like, are you going to get paid for your second one? Your rookie contract is your rookie contract. If Trey Lance goes out, the fucking Patrick Mahomes in his second year threw 50 touchdown passes, over 5,000 yards, and won the MVP. That's outplaying your rookie contract. Did they tear his contract up the next year? No. They waited till year 4 where they could renegotiate, and then they gave him money. That's what this is. Debo's a second-round pick. He doesn't have the 5th-year option year, so they can't do that. They're going to have to pay him or not pay him based on what they value him at. The same thing. Did the Titans pay A.J. Brown? No. They said, we're going to take picks from the Eagles, and we'll let you pay him. Yeah. You're not playing. Your first contract is slotted. This is not the Sam Bradford era where that glass cannon can come in and get $50 million guaranteed in 2008, right? Like, dude, this is not the same year. This is not where people come in, negotiate their contracts, hold out or whatever. The few holdouts we have are based on like offset language. It's not based on money or whatever. We used to have, and I know a lot of people don't remember this. I'm a little bit older than all y'all. But before this, the CBA that made the rookie wage scale, rookies were able to evaluate or negotiate their contracts based off of where they were drafted and based off of what previous first round picks in their slot got. And the NFL structured it so that, no, we want vested 3rd, 4th, and 5th year vets to get the big contract. We don't want the rookies to get that because we don't know if you're going to be good or not, right? So for him to outplay his rookie contract, so fucking what? Good for you. Now you can go get paid on your second contract.
I think Fernando asked that because that was like a big argument on our show last night. And that's why I think he specifically directed it to you guys. Like, what do you guys think? He wanted to get your takes on it. And it's still split, just so you guys know. It's still split. We went 1-1 there. So
I don't know if we necessarily disagreed. I think Matt's just saying it doesn't fucking matter, you know, whether he did or not. That has
at
nothing
the end
to
of the
do.
day, does it make any difference?
Yeah.
The only thing that matters is what he gets paid for a second contract. Then it'll tell you if he outperformed it or not. Because if he didn't, he's going to get the Dante Pettis route where he's on his 3rd team in 3 years and nobody wants to pay him. But Debo's going to get paid. So I guess if you need a firm answer, I guess he did, but it doesn't matter. He's going to get paid either way.
Yeah. Let's see. We had another question from Melissa. Do we think tight end you will be a good influence on Trey Lance like it was on George Kittle?
I think it's a fun endorsement of Trey Lance. The fact that Kittle is like, hey man, come out to tight end you know, I'm embracing you as the quarterback that we're going to let it rock with or whatever. Yeah. And the fact that Josh Allen is going is indicative too, because that's a good fucking quarterback to go out there. You know what I mean? To get him out there, that's a big time quarterback. So is it like the best thing, or does it, 100% speak to what Trey Lance is? No, not necessarily, but I think it's a good thing for him in terms of feeling that acceptance, having that confidence, because the mental aspect of the game is just as important as the physical aspect, right? Trey Lance can have a cannon arm, have all the arm fitness in the world. Fuck you, Lombardo. Fuck you, Ryan Harris, or whatever your name is. Fuck you guys. But if he goes out there and he's in his own head, that's not necessarily going to lead to success. So for George Kittle to be in a leadership role and say, hey man, come on out to this thing that I organize. I want you to be throwing passes to all the tight ends that come out here. I think that's a good thing for Trey Lance from a mental aspect of the game.
Niner by nature, fellas, from 1 to 10, how confident are you guys that Jason Verrett stays healthy this year? We did discuss this on the last episode. Mike even pulled up the
-7.
Yeah, it's more likely that D Ford will stay healthy, according to the science. Than
D Ford's getting released too. By the way, Zach, hold that shit. I told you.
Right after we get that report that the 49ers are planning on releasing D Ford.
Told you, D Ford will not play another snap for the 49ers.
Speak on it, Mike. What's up?
I saw the headlines, and apparently it came from Matt Burrows or Mayoka, one of the Matts.
Barrows. Yeah.
But what was the question exactly that he was answering? Because I don't think it was according to what I heard or sources. I think it was more of a, do you think da 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 da? And it was a, if I had to guess, this is what the outcome is, right? Or am I wrong?
I thought it was an official report, but I could be wrong.
I didn't read it and I couldn't find it anywhere. That's why I kept asking everybody.
I think it was more he was talking to sources within the team and they're expected to release him as a post June 1st designation, which is what I thought upcoming anyway, because they restructured his deal a bunch of times. And my thing was like, you can get out of that guaranteed money partially if you have like an injury settlement. And that's where I thought it was going. You're going to get an injury settlement. D Ford still gets a little bit of money. It's not going to count against your cap because it's an injury settlement, whatever. But it looks like that they're just going to release him. And I'm not surprised. Like I said last time, it's a difference between Javon Kinlaw sitting there doing one-legged squats and D Ford being like, look how good I was with Kansas City in 2015. You know what I mean? Like, it's different.
I'm trying to find where he said it.
Who cares if Treylon Burks looked like shit at practice? It's practice 1, dude.
Yeah. I'm not too worried about that. If we
ever had a bad day at work?
What would the 49ers owe him? Like 1 million or something like that?
1.4 for this year, and I think 2.3 next year.
Okay. Okay. Any final points or questions before we wrap things up? If you guys have any questions in the chat, send them over. We'll love to answer them before we finish things up here. The final point, actually, I forgot to talk about. 49ers signed a tight end, Tyler Croft, which I'm actually pretty excited.
He's a blocker.
I think
He's a blocker for sure.
Yeah.
And that tells me that they're going to run a lot of packages with like 2 tight end sets where they're going to, work Trey Lance in those sets. And I think that's honestly, that to me, that's been the secret sauce for Lamar Jackson. And I'm not mad at that route. You know what I mean? Make things easier for Trey Lance where you can stick guys where they sit in the zone and it's an easy read for Trey Lance. Let his mental and physical potential catch up to what you think it should be. Like active progression. You don't need him to be Tom Brady right off the bat. Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady for like 5 years, right? Like these guys, it takes time. And you draft Trey Lance because he has such immense physical talent. And you got to let the potential fulfill itself. So if you can make it easier on him by getting a dude that's going to be hard-nosed and blocking and all this and that and go along with Kittle, who's an absolute psycho when it comes to blocking and laughs when he pancakes people, by all means, do it, man. Doesn't make a difference to me.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. That's his big thing. I went back and looked at how many games Tyler Croft plays, and it's not a lot. But you just got to watch it. That's all. There were some really, really good interviews, man. I'm going to encourage people to go back and watch the pressers. Some really good nuggets in all of them, man.
Jimmy Ward's interview was sick.
Yes, I loved Jimmy Ward presser, man. That was phenomenal, man. It was really, really good. So, I really encourage you guys to go back and listen to the players, from their own words, not our interpretations of them either. Like, go back and watch them for yourselves. It's on the 49ers YouTube page. It's on the 49ers app now. They cut them up and everything. It's worth it. It really, really is worth it.
Fernando, where are you seeing this, by the way? 49ers DL says the beef still isn't squashed with Grant Cohn. Where's this from? But all right. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I did see. Was it with the Raiders that Cap is getting a trial?
The Raiders, yeah. Shout out to Kaepernick, dude. Like,
good luck.
Whatever you think of whatever his politics are, whatever. Fact of the matter is, he's talented enough to be in the league. So
he always was.
Shout out to him getting his tryout. I hope that I honestly, I would be happy if he signed with the Raiders. If for nothing else than the fact that we can get past the fact that he's been unfairly blackballed. As a former vet, like, I don't have a problem with the stuff that he did. What he was doing was exactly what we fight for. So you might not agree with him, but that doesn't mean that he, whatever.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Yes, this is
breaking.
breaking.
You came from an organization. Nowhere was anything squashed, and you know that. Stop capping, dog. Damn, dude.
This is from about an hour ago.
Hey, someone's got to go get their man. Like he don't like why? Why do you need like? I don't understand. Mike, maybe you help me out. What is the purpose of saying this shit?
It goes back to what I said about the interpretation, right? I told you guys, my mom would say, hug your brother, apologize, say you love him. I'll hug you. I'll say I love you. I'm not apologizing because I'm not sorry. This is that. I'll shake your hand because that's what the team wants me to do. They want me to save face. But nah, it's still fuck you, bro. I'm not sorry for what I did. Now I'm just fulfilling my obligations. That's what this is. That's exactly what this is. I tried to interpret it as best as I could. He don't like this guy. This is a personal thing. I don't like you. I'm not going to like you. I'll keep my distance. I'll shut up and I'll leave you alone. But nah, I still don't fuck with you, bro.
Hey, 100% Javon Kinlaw would shit in Grant Cohn's luggage. 100%.
Shit on his pillow like Amber Heard.
Yeah.
What?
Have you
Not been following the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing?
No, I don't care.
That lady shit in his bed.
And then said it was a Yorkshire Terrier shit.
She said it was a
dog
shit. Yeah. And it was clearly a human shit.
Yeah.
How does this
I'm glad we can bring this to you, Mike.
Court, baby. Court.
Yo, my wife randomly updates me on the dumbest stuff from this trial. And she has never been. Did this just come out today?
This is like weeks old.
Amber Heard shitting in Johnny Depp's
That's
bed,
why Amber Turd was trending.
You will not believe.
Yeah. Search the hashtag Amber Turd and you'll find.
Yes, Amber Turd. That's what we call her, Amber Turd.
Yeah. Why would she do that?
Because she's a fucking
psycho. She said it was a practical joke gone wrong.
A practical joke.
It's like one of those YouTube clickbait videos.
I don't care if you're my family. You shit in my bed. We got problems. The only person that gets shit in my bed is my child.
Right? Like I just don't, and that even that got to be an accident. Like what happened?
Right?
Did you not wake up
on purpose? She cocked over and shit on the bed.
Why am I finding out about?
You guys watch It's Always Sunny?
Squatting like she's a baseball catcher, bruh.
Oh my!
Do you guys watch It's Always Sunny?
No, I used to want to.
Matt,
but
have you ever?
I haven't yet.
There's an episode where they wake up and there's shit in the bed, and the whole episode they're trying to figure out who did it. Imagine trying to blame human shit on a 4-pound dog, dude.
Bro, it's totally different sizes.
Why would she? You guys are worried about this. What goes through a person's mind? You know what I'm going to do right now?
Dump.
The depth dump.
The herd turd. The depth dump.
Like, do you know what has to go through your mind? Like, even to have the thought, but then it's like, no, I'm actually going to do this right now. Like, did she take wet wipes to the bed? Did she get up and go to the bathroom with shit between her ass cheeks?
Right.
How does it play out?
Listen, if you want to be a connoisseur of a shit prank, upper deck somebody, right? Like, you do that.
She took shit posting to a new level.
That's fucked up.
That shit's hilarious. Thank you for
the
super chat, Sean.
Is, Zach?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Gone wrong as soon as the pants went down. All right, guys. On that note, I think we're going to wrap this show up before we get into some more inappropriate shit.
We've lost everybody. Like 20 viewers since we started talking about shit.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate all of you guys. As always, Mike, it's a blast having you on. Thank you very much. Handles are on the screen. Go and follow us on Twitter. You can follow the podcast as well at RGS Pod. Give Nothing But Niners a sub on YouTube. I'm sure you already have, but if you haven't, go and do it now. And thank you for reminding me, Melissa. You guys can now start buying gold for as little as $50 a month. Once you reach the market price of 2.5 grams, Acre Gold will discreetly send a 2.5 gram gold bar to your door. Matt calls it our gold stamp because it is rather small, but it is 2.5 grams, as you can see. Go buy your gold today. You don't have to fork out hundreds of dollars anymore. You can get it slowly and at your own pace, and you can have a nice little protection against inflation here because gold is not depreciating as quickly as the dollar is. So go buy gold. Click the link in the description. Shout out to Acre Gold for supporting the channel. Support them because they support us. Matt, you want to take us out?
Absolutely. You know what? I really appreciate your economics lesson about the precious metals.
Thank you.
I just want to say, all of you here, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you. Right? I know, terrible. Thank you as always for joining us. We love having you here. Mike, thanks again. I love having you on. It's always a pleasure, man. You're fantastic at what you do. Hopefully we can appear. I would love to appear on Nothing But Niners. So
yeah.
just let me know.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, OTAs are kicking off. Apparently Javon Kinlaw doesn't give a shit about the handshake. That's cool too. We're gonna bring you more content as we go forward. So until next time, go Niners.